A very good morning to everyone. Let's begin our class. The topic of today's class is parasitism. But before beginning with the topic, let us have a small introduction of Unacademy. Unacademy is one of the India's largest learning platform for the preparation of CSIR UGC NET Examination. You will get India's best educators on this platform. About me, I am your educator, Farida Bandhukwala. I have a teaching experience of 10 years. I've qualified MP SLIT examination in 2018. If you're opting for Unacademy, what all things you are going to get? You're going to get daily life classes so that you will be always in that momentum of your studies and you can ask your doubts and queries live in the class when the doubt occurs in your mind, and faculty members, they'll be taking up your doubts. Then the syllabus is well structured so that you can complete the 13 units of CSIR Life Science in a small span of time. Then live tests and quizzes are taken so that you can evaluate yourself that how much you have learned so far. Then you will have unlimited access for all the videos which are done in the category. Like if you are going for CSIR UGC NET, you will be able to watch all the videos of any faculty member for any number of times. If you're watching it now and you are taking a subscription for 12 months, you can watch it after 4 months, 6 months. So unlimited number of times you can watch the videos. Unacademy tries to provide free live classes. These free live classes are conducted on YouTube platform. This class you're watching on YouTube and the name of the channel is Let's Crack CSIR UGC NET. So the classes which are done on YouTube are completely free. And then there are special classes. So special classes are also completely free. This you can watch on our app, that is Unacademy Learning app. You need to download this app from Play Store, make your account, and for watching the free videos, use my referral code FB01. If you use my referral code FB01, you will be getting the access of all the special classes done by me and done by other educators So it's not that only by me, but you can watch the videos of other educators also. Just you need to use my referral code FB01. Now there is a plus subscription and it's a paid subscription. So for all the upcoming exams, various crash courses, short-term courses are conducted on this plus platform. The courses are for 1, 3, 6 and 12 and 24 months. What I would suggest is go for a 24 months or a 2-yearly program. Recently, a very major discount is going on, that is of 54% for 12 months and 67% for 24 months, and soon the prices are going to increase. So for 12 months, it is very pocket friendly, 11,550 rupees, and for 24 months, it is 16,800 rupees. You will be getting an additional 10% discount if you are using my referral code at the time of payment, that is FB01, and your 12 monthly subscription will cost you 10,395, and for 24 months it is going to cost you 15,120 rupees. So this was a little introduction about Unacademy. Now coming to the topic, that is parasitism. Let us discuss this parasitism. So what is parasitism? So it is a type of symbiotic relationship between organisms of different species in which the parasite gets benefit for a prolonged time in close association with the other. The one from which it is getting its benefit is called as host, and the host is harmed. So parasitism is a type of symbiotic relationship between organisms and different species. Organisms of different species in which the parasite is benefited and the host is harmed. As easy as this. Everyone knows what is a parasite and everyone knows this definition, isn't it? There is nothing new. So usually the parasites are much more smaller than their host and they show a high degree of specialization for their mode of life and reproduce more quickly and in greater number than their host. This is what you need to remember, that the parasites are much smaller than hosts. Parasites size is much smaller than host size in parasitism. Then they have a very specialized mode of reproduction, specialized mode of reproduction, specialized mode of reproduction, reproduce quickly and in greater number. In greater number. So in comparison to what we are saying, this specialized mode of reproduction, reproduce quickly and in greater number, in comparison to obviously host. In comparison to host. This is about your parasite. Now, classic example of parasitism includes the interaction between vertebrate host and such diverse animals such as tapeworm, flukes, plasmodium, amoeba, fleas. These all things are the parasites. So, classical example would be host, vertebrate, and parasite, tapeworm, flukes, plasmodium, etc. This can be a classical example to which we can relate actually. So the detriment and benefit in parasitic interaction concerns the biological fitness of the organism involved. So parasites reduces the host fitness in many ways, ranging from general or specialized pathology such as castration, impairment of secondary sex characteristic to modification of the host behavior. Parasites increase their fitness by exploiting the host for food, habitat, and dispersal. So this we need to know, that parasites reduce the fitness of host, reduce the fitness of host. Parasites, it will reduce the fitness of host. And how it is going to reduce the fitness? So it can lead to impairment of secondary sexual characteristic, impaired secondary sexual characters, or it can lead to behavioral change in the host, behavioral changes, and by doing this the fitness of parasite is going to increase. Fitness of parasite is going to increase. Okay, so this is the basic. Now let us move ahead and talk about types of parasitism. Types of parasitism. That what are the types of parasitism? Okay, so we can distinguish the various types of parasites based on their lifestyle. So this type of parasitism is based on lifestyle. Based on lifestyle. Now let us talk about those. First of all is microparasite. Then macroparasite. Then parasitoids. Parasitoids. So microparasite, macroparasite, and parasitoids. These are the certain division which are based on the lifestyle. Right? So let us move ahead and talk about them in detail. Let us talk about microparasites. Microparasites. So it includes the pathogenic bacteria and viruses. What it includes? Bacteria and viruses, because the word itself is telling us micro. They are microorganisms, so bacteria and viruses. When we are talking about bacteria and viruses, we know that bacteria and virus, where they multiply directly within the host. So multiply directly within hosts. Usually inside the host cells. Within the host, usually inside cells. Usually inside cells. They are the microscopic and their infection is called a disease. So microparasites, its infection is called as disease. Disease causing organisms, they reproduce rapidly and transmission between the host may occur directly or facilitated by other organisms such as blood-sucking insects such as in malaria. So what are the characters of microparasites? Multiply rapidly. Multiply rapidly. After multiplying rapidly, they can be transmitted directly, like coronavirus. If someone is sneezing and you have inhaled or somewhere inside the mouth this air droplet containing the viral particle from the corona patient goes inside you, so that is the direct transmission. But if you are having a malaria and female anopheles mosquito, it bites you and goes and bites other or individual of the same species, other human beings, so that person is also going to get malaria. So that is indirect. So it can be transmitted directly or indirectly. So the virulence of the disease causing organism is a measure of degree of mortality it causes to its host. So virulence is the another word which we usually use. So what is the meaning of virulence? Basically, the meaning of virulence is a measure. It's a measure. It's a measure of the degree. The measure of the degree of mortality it causes to its hosts. To its host. This is virulence. Usually, the host has a strong immunological response to the microparasite infection. This infection remains latent for a small duration of time and then it can actually build up large. And sometimes the infection can also be overcome by the immune system of the host, right? So we know this, some people they can recover from the disease without any external aid, and some people when they have a compromised immune system they can even enter into a shock zone or might lead to death of an individual, right? That all we know. Now talking about macroparasites. Macroparasites, the word is clear. Macro, they are bigger. Let us deal with them. Macroparasites. So it includes large sized parasites. So large sized parasites such as schistosomes which live in the host but discharge their infective juvenile stage outside the body of the host. So one of the example of macroparasite is schistosomes. What happens in this? The parasites are actually, this is the example, sorry. This is the example. So macroparasite, they are large size parasites. Large sized parasites. They live in the host live in host, but discharge their juvenile stage outside the host body. Live in host, but discharge juvenile outside the host body. Outside the host body. Such species are usually noticeable by naked eyes, can be seen by naked eyes, and have relatively long generation time. Relatively, as compared to microparasites, they have a relatively long generation time. Long generation time. More parasites require more than one host species to complete their life cycle. Very important thing over here, they require more than one host species for completing their life cycle. Require more than, most of them, like this is not applicable to all of them, but some of them, majority of them require more than one host to complete their life cycle. So for temporary, the infection tends to be persistent, and then hosts are subjected to the continual reinfection. So continuously they'll be infected. So this was about macroparasite. Now moving to parasitoids. Parasitoids. So what thing will be called as parasitoid? So a parasitoid is an organism that lives on or in the host organisms and ultimately kill the host organism, then it is called as parasitoids. So an organism which lives on or in the host organism and finally kills the host. They are called as parasitoids. Remember, parasitoids, what will be the ultimate fate of their infection? Kills. Very important word which you need to remember in this definition. Right? So insects are often host to other species of parasites, parasitic insects called parasitoids. Like insects host and they can be host for the other insect species, which is a parasitoid. Isn't it quite different thing? So insect will be host and insect will be infecting the insect. When an insect will be infecting the insect and leading to the death of the insect, it will be called as parasitoid. So parasitoids develop as internal parasites of the insect immature stages, such as larvae or pupae or of host. The adult parasitoids lays its egg inside or on the host, and the larvae usually develop internally. Eventually, the adult parasitoids emerge and ultimately killing the host organisms. So some parasitoids themselves serve as host for other parasitoids, which are called as hyperparasitoids. Now, this parasitoid living in the insect host can be actually a host also for the other parasitoid. And when this is the kind of thing that a parasite infecting the insect is having one more is itself a host to another parasitoid, that whole thing will be called as hyperparasitoid. The term which will be used for this type of parasitoid will be hyperparasitoid, which is actually a parasite. For a parasitoid is a hyperparasitoid. So parasitoids, they develop as the internal parasites of the insect immature stages. So immature stages. An adult one, when it is going to lay its egg, they are going to die. Okay, so parasitoids. Remember the example of insects. Remember the term hyperparasitoid. That what relation I told you for hyperparasitoid, and remember the word killing, and remember the word that they are usually of the insect types, right? So these are some of the basic things which you need to remember. Now some of the major differences between microparasites, macroparasites, and between the parasitoids and predators are like this. See, parasites, then here parasitoids, then here grazers, and here predators. So duration of association will be written over here. So duration of association, sorry, let us make a kind of box. Okay, and in this, probability of death, x and y axis, if we are seeing is it this way. So let us take another color. So duration of association and probability of death when grazers they feed on the grass, the duration of association is low and probability of death is low. Then duration of association for parasites, the association is high, but then too the probability of death is less. Probability of death is less when we are talking about these two, predators and parasitoids. So duration of association, in case of predators it is high, and in case of parasitoids also it is high, right? Isn't it? So the duration of association is high for parasitoids and probability of death is also high in parasitoids. Now duration of association is low for grazers and their probability of death is less, and duration of association is high for parasites but probability of death is less. So this matrix shows relationship between probability of death and duration of species association. Duration of species association. So without labeled, such kind of chart can come like high, low, high would not be written, and you will have to go for where high would come and where low would come, or the internal things would not be placed. So like that. So it can be a quite important thing according to exam point of view, right? So these are some of the things. Now when we were talking about types of parasitism, we actually skipped one of the thing here. So that is your endoparasites. So now we'll be talking about endoparasites. We'll be discussing endoparasites. Right? So endoparasites, the word itself is very, very clear that it includes the parasites which live on the outside. Endoparasites. Sorry, we need endoparasites which live inside the host organism. Lives inside host. So when we are saying endoparasites, what all things will be included? Endoparasites can include microparasites, it can include macroparasites, it can include parasitoids. It can include any of the things. Lives inside the host. And after endoparasites, we need to discuss ectoparasites, because when endo has come into being, ecto should also be discussed. So ectoparasite. Let us talk about these. So it includes the parasites which live on the outside of the host body, such as ticks and fleas. So lives outside the host body. Example, the lice, the ticks and fleas, these all things are into ectoparasites, etc. So some parasitic plants such as mistletoe exist partly outside of the host body and partly inside. So some of the example of plants, that is mistletoe, partly inside, partly outside, partly inside, partly outside. So that is a kind of ectoparasites. So outgrowths are called as haustoria, which penetrate inside the host plant to tap into the nutrient supplies. So the thing which is actually used for getting the nutrient is haustoria. So some parasitic plants such as mistletoe, we'll write over here parasitic plant. Example is mistletoe. So the structure which is used to dig into the host body for getting the nutrition is called as haustoria. It's a outgrowth to suck nutrition. So being endoparasitic on host seems to require greater specialization as compared to being ectoparasite, because it has to exist in the normal environment and it does not require very specific mechanisms to prevent the host defense mechanism. Like if some virus is inside the body, it can be attacked with so many cells, antibodies it can be attacked with, or T cells, macrophages, natural killer cells, all these things are going to attack. But when it is ectoparasite, it can actually escape the host parasite defense mechanism. Thus ectoparasite animals like leeches tend to be polyphagous. Another example which we'll be seeing over here is leech. The blood sucking organism which sucks the blood tend to be polyphagous. What do we mean by that? That is, they are able to feed on the various kind of food, can feed on various kind of food. While internal parasites such as liver flukes are more often monophagous, they are very specific to the host. So the another thing which we need to know over here is about the flukes, the tapeworms. They are monophagous. They can feed on single type of host, can feed on single host. So mono and poly, the word itself is making the thing clear that what is their nutrient choice, right? So some of the things we have seen like this. Now parasitic flowering plants may be classified can be classified as holoparasites or hemiparasites. So we'll be talking about the parasitic flowering plants. Parasitic flowering plants, they can be of two types, that is holoparasites or they can be hemiparasites. Holoparasites or hemiparasites. Let us talk about them. So yes, first of all, holoparasites, they lack chlorophyll. The holoparasites, they are going to lack chlorophyll. And this is about parasitic flowering plants. lack chlorophyll, and are totally dependent on the host plant for their water and nutrient. Depends fully on host for water and nutrition. One thing about holoparasites. Now, one famous holoparasite is the tropical Rauflesia arnoldi example, which lives most of its life within the body of its host, a vine that grows only in the undisturbed rainforest. So, holoparasite example is Rauflesia arnoldi. Lives most of its life, lives most of life in vine host, and which is prevalent in the undisturbed rainforest. So, example of holoparasites. They'll completely lack chlorophyll and depend completely on host for their water and nutrition. Now, talking about hemiparasites. They are capable of photosynthesis because obviously when we are saying holoparasites lack chlorophyll completely, so hemiparasites would have chlorophyll. So can say they are capable of photosynthesis, are capable of photosynthesis, but they lack root system to gain water. Lack root system to obtain water. To obtain water, and therefore depend on their host for their function. So lack root system to obtain water, thus depends on host for this. Example of this, we have just seen the example of this in the previous video, that is mistletoe. And the biological name of mistletoe is Viscum album. Viscum album. So this is the example of hemiparasite. This is a hemiparasite and usually have a broader range of host than the holoparasites, which may be confined to a single or few hosts. So let us write that can depend on broader range of hosts. Broader range of hosts. Here the range of host is limited. Range of host is limited. So holoparasite and hemiparasite. These two things we have seen. Now, many species of the macroparasites cannot complete their life cycle without inhabiting at least two different host species. Such parasites are said to have complex life cycle. The defensive host is the host in which the parasite exhibit. The definitive host is that host which in which the parasite exhibit its sexual reproduction, whereas the intermediate host are the species where they do not perform the reproduction but rest of the life they actually spend in that kind of host. So we'll be talking about this thing. So let us see what is a definitive host and what is an intermediate host. Definitive host and intermediate host. Definitive host and intermediate host. These are the two types of hosts. So many species of macroparasites. This clause is for many species of macroparasites. Their life cycle, they complete in two different hosts, and their life cycle is called to be a complex lifestyle. Complex lifestyle or life cycle. So in definitive host, it is going to do its reproduction. Reproduction is done here. And in intermediate host, non-reproductive phases are spent. Non-reproductive phases are spent. So remember what is a definitive host and what is a intermediate host. Okay. Now let us talk about Enslaver parasites and kleptoparasitism. Uh, these are the types of things. Then we'll be talking about brood parasitism, and then we'll be finishing. So we have to complete three more things. So Enslaver parasites. Enslaver parasites. What are Enslaver parasites? Some parasites, they have a complex life cycle involving transmission between the several hosts. So to enable transmission, many parasites, they induce changes in the behavior or color of one of the host, making that host more prone of being prey to the second host. Such parasites are called as enslaver parasites. They make the host a kind of slave because they induce so many changes in them, maybe physical, behavioral, or chemical changes in them. So enslaver parasites. So the example of enslaver parasite is a malarial parasite, that is Plasmodium. They have a complex life cycle involving two hosts, that is the mosquitoes and second is humans. So Plasmodium restricts with the ability of mosquito to draw up the blood from its host. It causes increased number of attacks by the infected mosquitoes. So in order to try and obtain enough blood, increased attack rates maximizes the transmission rates of the Plasmodium itself. So I hope you are understanding what I am doing. So Enslaver parasites, let us what I told you, let us write it down in a simple manner, that some parasites, they have a complex life cycle involving transmission between the several hosts. When parasite has when parasite has more than one host, more than one host. So to enable transmission, many parasites induce changes in the host. So induces changes in host. And when it will induce the changes in host, what will happen? The change can be in the form of behavior or color, behavioral or color change, so that they can now become prey to the another second host. Induces change in the host so that they can become prey, so that they can become prey to another parasite, or prey to the second host. So such are called as enslaver parasites. Now for this, a beautiful example is there. Example for malarial parasite. Malarial parasite. Now what happens in this case? In malarial parasite, this Plasmodium, when it enters the mosquito, what it does, it reduces blood sucking capability of mosquito. Reduces blood sucking capability of mosquito. So this is a behavioral change of mosquito. Now what will this mosquito do? In return to hunger, it will try to attack more of the host. Attacks more individuals for blood. Now when it is going to attack more individuals for blood, Plasmodium would enter into many hosts. Many hosts. So this is the malarial parasite. So malarial parasite fall under the category of enslaver parasite. I hope this thing is clear. This can be asked in exam. Now after that, kleptoparasitism. Kleptoparasitism. What is kleptoparasitism? It is a parasitism by theft. It is a form of feeding where one animal takes food that another has gathered. Very interesting. So it is a parasitism by theft, parasitism by theft. So what we'll say that one animal takes food of another animal which it has gathered, which it has gathered for himself. Gathered for himself. This is kleptoparasitism. So whenever you are talking about kleptoparasitism, remember the word theft. This is going to make you remember the whole story which I am reading you now. So these interactions may be interspecific or interspecific. Can be the theft or the robbery can be from the same species or can be from different species. Can be intraspecific or interspecific. Intraspecific or interspecific. For example, some small spider species live as kleptoparasites in the webs of the larger species. Very simple. Small spiders use web of larger spiders, feeding on the remains of the prey of the larger species. Feed on left out prey of large spiders. Some seagulls, another example, small spiders. Another example is of seagulls. And frigate birds, they steal food from the other bird species that dive into the ocean to catch it. They are going to steal food of other birds. So that is kleptoparasitism. That is a theft. They are going to procure the food which is actually gathered by other species or maybe from the same species. So kleptoparasitism. After that, blood parasitism. Blood parasitism. So it is a specific kind of kleptoparasitism in which the individuals manure others to feed and look after their young ones. So blood parasitism, brood parasitism, sorry. Brood parasitism. So they are going to actually they are going to use the help of others, not exactly help, but it is a kind of enforced uh, order or duty to others that now you have to look after my young ones and feed my young ones. So it's a kind of kleptoparasitism in which the individuals manure others to feed and look after their youngs. Their youngs. So that is a kind of enforced duty on others. So let us talk about the example of such brood parasitism. So the example of brood parasitism is for the avian brood parasites, avian brood parasites, including cuckoos in Europe, Asia, and Australia. Avian blood parasites for cuckoos. What they do, and this is also called as mafia hypothesis, because they are just enforcing the duty on others. Their duty they are enforcing on others. So it is also called as mafia hypothesis. Remember, very easy to remember. Mafia hypothesis, very beautiful word given for the brood parasitism. So that is the mafia hypothesis. It proposes that cuckoos and another is cowbirds repeatedly check their host's nest and destroy all the eggs if their owner is absent. So all of the eggs will be destroyed. They are going to be very brutal, and if their owner is absent, and if the parasite egg has been removed, they destroy the host nest and kill or injure the nestlings. So are you understanding that cuckoos and cowbirds, what is the type of interaction? That they lay their egg in others host, lay eggs, lay lays eggs in others nests. If host absent, all eggs destroyed of host, all eggs destroyed of host. And if its own egg is missing, they are going to cause disaster. Nest is destroyed, nest is destroyed, and host is injured or even killed, is injured oblique killed. So attack by parasite stimulates, so this brood parasitism we have done. So remember, it is a mafia hypothesis, and there is a beautiful story that I have narrated, that how cuckoos and cowbirds, they behave and they lay their eggs in other host species, and they enforce them that take care of our young ones, feed them, and if they are absent and not taking care properly, they are going to destroy their eggs, and if their own egg is missing, they are going to destroy the whole nest. They are even going to destroy the host. They are going to kill them. After that, let us talk a little bit. So attack of parasites stimulate a multiple defense reactions. Obviously, the host is not going to be quiet, right? So invertebrate, many cells and organs, they contribute to fighting off the parasite attack, and collectively known as immune cells. So two broad type of immunity as recognized is innate immunity and acquired immunity. Innate immunity and acquired immunity. Innate and acquired immunity. So evidence from experimental removal of parasite confirms that parasites can greatly reduce the host densities, and introduce parasites can have adverse effect on their prey. So the use of natural enemies for removal of unwanted organism, including parasitoids and predators, it's called as biological control. So what is biological control? Biological control. So the use of natural enemies for removal of unwanted organisms, that can be parasites or parasitoids, is biological control. Usually it is used for agricultural uses. Biological control for agricultural uses. So use of natural enemies for removal of or removal of unwanted organisms. Unwanted organisms. So the necessary attributes of a good agent of biological control can be great adaptability to the environment. Maybe they are not indigenous, so great adaptability to the environment, superior searching capacity for hosts that it has to feed on, then high rate of increase relative to the host and good dispersal ability, minimal time lag effect in responding to the changes in the host's human. So all these things should be there in a good biological control. So biological control should have the following characters. First, general adaptability to environment. General adaptability to environment. Second, superior searching capacity for the host. Superior searching capacity for hosts. Then high rate of increase relative to the high rate of increase as relative to the host. High multiplication, then host, then only it is going to kill the host, otherwise it is going to itself get in the lesser number. Then good dispersal ability, so that it can go in larger spaces for searching for the host to feed upon, and minimal time lag effect in responding to the changes. So not all introduced parasites are harmful. Many introduced parasites are effective enemies of economically important pests. Now in the next video we'll be talking about host parasite model, and that is also quite interesting to read. And we'll be meeting again with another topic in which we'll be doing host parasite relationships. So now this is it for the class of today, and we have completed parasitism in a very decent and well covered manner. And lastly, as we say, let's crack CSIR UGC NET together. Hit the bell icon for getting all the notifications of the videos which are doing on this channel. If you haven't subscribed our channel till now, subscribe it, and if you really like the video, please give it a thumbs up. It really motivates the educators like us. Use my referral code FB01 for getting a 10% discount. Soon the prices are going to increase, so use my referral code for getting the plus subscription, which is a paid subscription, and use my referral code FB01 for availing these special classes, which is a completely free thing. For both of them you will be needing my referral code, that is FB01. So this is it for now. We'll be meeting again tomorrow with another interesting topic of ecology, and this is it for now, and a very happy new year to one and all. So thank you very much. Be happy, keep on studying, and it's a final goodbye from my side. Have a very happy new year to one and all.